Hi folks, this is Jake of Jake's Famous Foods. Today I'm going to do a video specifically focused on how I clean my ribs. Now, a lot of people over the years have asked me, Jake, how do you go about doing it? Well, it's a really simple process, but for most people, or a number of people, they don't seem to understand how the process really works. And you need to clean your ribs in order to get them ready for marinades or mustards or seasonings or dry rubs or however you're going to do it. Now, I'm also going to do a second part video related to how I go about and marinate my ribs. I like to do either one of two different ways, an olive oil type marinade or a mustard type marinade, which makes them nice and tender. But we're going to save that for the second video. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to start in on a video that's focused on how do you get your ribs clean. Now, I'm not... it's really nice to get those really beautiful ribs that you get from the butcher or from some grocery store where they have them sitting in the rack and they're all cleaned and really nice and beautiful and ready to go. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to start right out of the pack here. And I've got some basic Signature Select. This is just from our local grocery, just down the street here. We're going to use this pack to get started, and we're going to show you how we go about doing that. So we're ready to get started. So first things first, we got to get these ribs out of the package. We'll go ahead and get that done. We'll actually just use a pair of garden shears, or actually not garden shears, you're going to use kitchen shears. And we're going to slit this bag open and we're going to drain out the liquid. Now, some have said that they try to reuse the blood, which is really the blood and water that's in the packages. I don't particularly like to do that. I find that sometimes the blood may have coagulated or sat there, and you really don't want to add any additional or any potential bacteria to your meat. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bypass that process altogether, and we're just going to take these out. We're going to drain them, we're going to clean them, or we're going to wash them off so that you'll see the silvery film on the back of the ribs. And from there, I'll show you exactly how you peel that skin off, that film off, and how you get these ribs ready. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll show you the steps, but what we're going to do is we're going to jump directly from the package onto a set of ribs that have already been removed from the pack, and basically it's just laying in the same tray, but I'm going to add a little foil to the tray to help improve the appearance. So let's get that going, okay? Okay folks, we're ready to get started. Now, one of the things I should have mentioned earlier on, which I didn't, was that these are what's commonly known as pork loin or loin back or basic loin back ribs. Some people call them baby backs, some people call them loin backs. It's pretty much all the same. So we're gonna focus in on calling these what's on the package, which is loin back ribs. So I've cleaned them off. I've actually taken them out of the package, as you can see, and I just put them on a piece of foil. We've washed them down a little bit, and I've patted them dry. Now you pat them down with a little bit of paper towel or anything handy like that that you can use to pat down the ribs. Now what you'll notice when I turn the ribs over, and this is a nice long rack of ribs. Typical rack has 13 bones, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're basically using a standard rack of ribs here. Now you'll notice right away that it's got a shinier back than you normally see, obviously different from the front here, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove that membrane. Now I've got two things that I'm gonna use to do that with. One is, I've got just some basic standard paper towel. You can see that, anybody can get it anywhere. And then the other is I'm gonna show you by using just a standard butter knife, just a little simple tool. Everybody's got one, okay? And you can use them anytime you want, that kind of things. Some people, in order, if you have long nails, you don't want to break your nails, using the butter knife is the way to go, okay? So if I was going to use a butter knife, what I would do is I take the butter knife and I would locate right under the edge, right between the bones, because you see the bones here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, and you just slip it underneath the edge. You get that edge, okay? Once we get there, and you can see pushing back the skin a little bit, and you want to work it just slightly down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up, and you want to push it completely to the other side of the ribs as much as you can go. okay? And the reason you're doing that is that you're loosening that film away from the back of the meat. Now you pull up slightly, and what you want to do is loosen it just enough so you can slip your finger or your thumb under there. Now, the reason these ribs are so pliable is because basically, you know, they were frozen in the pack. And in fact, I'll tell you that it's easier to take a set of ribs that have been nicely thawed, or at least thawed reasonably, and then it's easier to manipulate the ribs with a knife or with a paper towel or something like that. Now, if I'm going to use a paper towel, I'm going to take the edge of this paper towel and I'm going to find some section or some front piece of the ribs that I can begin to pull. Now you notice right here there seems to be a little bit of buildup on the film here. So I'm going to take the paper towel and just kind of pull back a little bit till I get some of the edge of that. It's going to take a little bit because it's a little tough. Now we're going to have to do a little work here. So let's pull back here. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save myself some time. I'm just going to slip the knife under here, the little butter knife that I've got. Let's get under here and work our way up. There we go. Get my thumb under there a little bit. Okay, now I've got an edge, and that's what I want. Get my knife over here. Got that edge. I'm going to grab it with the paper, and I'm going to begin to pull. Just pull, 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 pull. And you're going to notice sometimes that it won't tear perfectly, but it's enough to get you going, you know? And you start pulling back on that edge as much as you can go. And you want to try to do it in this nice continuous motion so that you peel off as much of the skin all at once. You want to separate this front piece here, and we'll pick up that edge again, and we'll start pulling. And there we go. Now, it doesn't always come out perfect. Sometimes it does. You know, thank God when it does, but hey, it's not always perfect. It happens, sometimes it happens really nicely, sometimes it doesn't happen at all. And it just comes up in shreds. Now, you see how easy that was there, that one section? Why? Because I put my butter knife in under that section to loosen it up. So I'm going to pull back all the way to the other side. Ah, that's nice. Get it right there. Ah, great. Now I've got this really nice leading edge. Now I want to slip my thumb under there and then bring back the skin as much as I can, or the film as much as I can. Get my paper towel and pull up on that. There you go. Now, looks like it's time for number 2 paper towel, since that one's just about gone. And what I'll do is I'll grab as much of that film as I can, pulling up, but not forgetting that I need to make sure this edge over here is pulled up too. So I just want to get that going. And as I said, of course, it doesn't always happen the way you want it to happen. And if you have any trouble with this, you just take your little butter knife and you can slip it back under there and lift that edge up, pull away, and there you go. Starts to pull up nicely and joins the rest of the film. So now we're going to pull back evenly, nice and firm. Look how it skins that off, just really nicely. Really takes off that film. And that film's going to act like a rubber band, so you want to catch it before it starts springing up all over the place. And you just want to grab it and have it finished off nicely. Now, that looks pretty good. If you look at the whole process and the fact that it's cleaned off everything, it actually looks really good. There's really not a lot here. I mean, you could do a little trimming if you wanted to, but you know, at this point, I probably wouldn't make the special effort to go back. Now, some people, what they'll do is they'll score the meat on top of that. I mean, that's a preference if you want to go ahead and do that. I don't particularly need to do that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count up the number of bones that are here, and then I'm going to get it ready. And once I peel off this other film here, that's on the ends, because you want to get all that off too. You know, you want to expose as much of the actual meat as you possibly can. But once you get them going and once you get it cleaned up, your ribs will look just like this. That same kind of removed look where it's kind of semi-shredded, but it's actually, the film has just been pulled back. And then you're ready to go ahead and start your process of marinating or seasoning or anything else you want to do. Now remember, you've got the paper towel method, and of course you've got your butter knife method, which I like to use. I use them both, but they work pretty well, and they get the meat, the silvery film moved off the meat as fast as possible. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'm going to turn this into a two-parter. In the next part, I'm going to actually go ahead and show you how I go about marinating my ribs. And I'm going to cut them down the middle, and I'm going to marinate them in one on either a olive marinade, okay, olive oil marinade. And the second, I'm going to use a mustard marinade because it adds a little nice tanginess to the meat and really breaks down the muscle fiber there and helps you get that, makes it ready for the seasoning that you're going to add on. And of course, we're going to use our Jake's Famous seasoning. So this has been Jake of Jake's Famous Foods. I hope you look at our products at jakesfamousfoods.com. And I hope you use this video and enjoy it, folks. I hope the steps work for you as they do. And if you have any questions on that, don't hesitate to give us a call, okay? Thank you so much. See you.